Hello everyone, back tuning into the third and final seasonal model roundup for the summer of 2016. So we're just 1 week away now from delivering the GavsWebbins.com 2016 summer forecast. We had a look at all the analogues, of course, last week, and we've been looking at them over the past few weeks. They're all done now. We've just got this model update to do, and then next Sunday we'll put it all together and try to make a forecast for the summer of 2016. So I've got 10 models to get through for this update. We're one model short. We haven't got the APEC model. It hasn't updated yet. Unfortunately, I've run out of time to update, use that model for the update. So we've got 10 of the, all 10 of the models though, we're just short on one. And we'll go around all of the major meteorological centres throughout the world and see what their long-range models are showing in a second. It'll be quite a long video, so you can't watch it all in one sitting. Don't worry, it'll be kept at the website indefinitely. I suggest you get a company chair and a cup of tea, maybe a biscuit, because we're going to be here for a little while. Before I get on with that, though, just to say about the ads, there's links to articles on all of the pages. Have a browse through the widgets and click through the links if there's any articles that you're interested in. Thanks very much for doing that. There's video ads on most of the pages. They own that content, but you watch them, they'll close back up again. And it helps to pay for GavsWebbins.com. So thanks so much for getting involved, and thanks for doing that. The long-range models, most of them you can find on the links page, or the links to them, so if you want to see any of these models for yourself, you can certainly do that via GavsWebbins.com. GavsWebbins.com's links page. They're not all listed there, but most of them are. So if you want to see these models for yourself, go to the links page and you'll be able to have a look. What else is there to say? I think that just about covers everything. So I think I better get on with it. Let's start off with the Russian model. And this is probability, first of all. This is for the summer period, June, July, and August. Red extrapolates to higher probability, and blue to below normal temperature probabilities. So where you've got red areas, it's suggesting that there's a greater than average chance of above average temperatures. Where you've got blue areas, it's telling you where there's a above average chance of below average temperatures, if you see what I mean. So British Isles is just here, and essentially model is going for near normal temperatures. It looks like being a pretty cool summer in the Atlantic out to west of us with all this blue, but to the east has quite a bit of red. So actually I think we're just coming out with near normal temperatures really from the Russian model this month. Precipitation is looking like this, and again very close to average. For west, maybe hinting being a bit drier than average. To the east, maybe hinting being a bit wetter than average. But overall, no great deviation here in either temperature or precipitation for this summer. Very much looking close to average. Well, we did the first update last month. The general idea was to have a warmer summer. If you remember how this has progressed with these models over the past couple of months, we started in March, we did the second update in April. March, generally, the models were looking quite cool and unsettled, but in April's update, last month's update, the general idea was to have quite a warmish sort of summer through most of these models. And precipitation was variable, but generally the idea was to have quite a warm summer. The first model just going for average temperatures, average precipitation. However, let's see how the other models are dealing with things. We've got the JMA next, the Japanese Meteorological Agency. Now, we've already looked at these, of course, earlier in the month. I think it was probably about a week ago. There's so much information that you can get with the JMA that I don't have time to sort of talk about it all in this season model roundup video. But the overall idea was that we would have a fairly pleasant June with a lot of anticyclonic influences, and then there'd be a deterioration through the summer. So by the time we get through to August, we have really quite a cool and unsettled pattern going. So I'm going to show you the 3 month means from the JMA. So for the heights, this is 500 millibar heights for the 3 months of the summer, June to August. We see that overall we're suggested to have a ridge to the south and out in the Atlantic. You can't really see it, but there's a trough to the north, and basically we're bringing the jet stream through the country. But remember, this 3 month mean is very much offset by the early part of the summer, by June, which is largely anticyclonic, And then August, you get to a much more cyclonic, unsettled type month. So once you put all months together, that's what the mean looks like. But it is a little bit deceiving, to be honest. The temperature anomaly for the summer is coming out like this. Generally a little bit cooler than average, you have to say. Most of Europe coming out slightly warmer than average. But for us, perched on the very edge of Europe, generally looking a little bit cooler, especially in the north and the west. Our precipitation this summer is also looking generally above average, wetter than average precipitation with the JMA model. The mean wind flow for this summer is generally signalled to be westerly. Look at that, generally bringing in the westerlies this summer. So quite a westerly, quite a cool, unsettled summer. But remember, we do get a better June before it all deteriorates in July and particularly through to August. We're going to go to the Americas next time with South America, and we're going to have a look at the Brazilian model. This is the 500 millibar height anomaly for the summer. Remember, these are always a little bit different. Blue is extrapolating to high pressure and red to low pressure. That's always different compared to most other 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts. So what we see for the summer is that it's predicting a ridge to be generally to the south and the west of us, with a trough probably centred across central parts of Europe, which means that the flow is probably doing something like that. It's not too bad a pattern. The high pressure, the ridge is close to us to the southwest, but I think we would at times be impacted by the Atlantic. Temperature anomalies this summer are generally coming out average to a little bit above average. Again, no great deviation, not a strong signal, but if you was to go on one side or the other, probably a little bit towards above average temperatures. And in terms of precipitation, again, no great deviation. So close to average precipitation, maybe hinting at being a bit wetter for central parts of Europe. So again, the Brazilian model, not really seeing anything beyond sort of an average type British summer. We're going to go north to Canada. This is the Canadian model from the CanSIPS this is the CanSIPS model from the tropicaltidbits.com website. It's been a very, very long day. These are the 3-month means. The Tropical Tidbits website has added, very usefully, added 3 monthly mean charts as well as the monthly chart. So this is the 3-month mean sea level pressure anomaly from June through to August. And it's showing that we have a trough of low pressure to the north, or in this case it's low pressure to the north. We've got the ridge out in the central part of the Atlantic and generally bringing westerlies through rather like that. So it does suggest quite a changeable summer here, I think. Probably with month by month variation, but overall probably quite a changeable Atlantic driven type summer. The temperature anomaly for the 3 months of the summer, June to August, are coming out about average again. Notice most of Europe generally coming out with a warm summer, but for us, perched on the very edges of the continental landmass with this cool ocean to the west of us, we're generally just coming out with average type temperatures. Precipitation, again, no great deviation here. Except to the north, the far north of Scotland comes out with precipitation slightly above average, a bit wetter than average for the north, but otherwise, no, it's generally close to average rainfall, close to average temperatures. This is a theme, a pattern emerging as we're going through these models. It's just the JMA so far that's had quite a strong signal for a cooler and more unsettled summer. Alright, Hugo van den Doel next, our good friend Hugo, and these are analog-based forecasts. What Hugo does with these charts is he creates an analog based on sea surface temperatures. So he looked at the sea surface temperatures across the whole of the world in April, very, very clever this, looked at the sea surface temperature anomalies across the whole of the world in April, and then he looked past years that had similar sea surface temperature anomalies, and from that he created an analog forecast going through the summer. So this is the 500 millibar height anomaly from June through to August, and look at this. This is a change on what I've been seeing from the other models, because Hoog is generally going for high pressure above average heights to be sitting around the UK and over into central parts of Europe as well. That looks very, very nice, I have to say. We'd expect a warm, dry summer from that. Let's have a look at the temperature anomalies, and indeed that's what it is going for. Warmer than average temperatures there for the UK and most of Europe as well. Excuse me. Most of these models that we've looked at so far have gone for warmer than average temperature anomalies for Europe, but with us perched on the edge of Europe, we've generally been coming out close to average, away from those warm anomalies. But Hoog definitely placing us into a warm summer type pattern there. Precipitation looks near normal as well, so that looks okay. Not too bad at all. The wetter than average anomalies are these green colours, and they're generally to the north and west. So you can see what's going on there. The jet stream is being centred or pushed to the north and the west of the country, which places us on the warm side of the jet, to the south of the jet stream. And that's the reason we finish up with a warm summer and, well, near normal precipitation, but actually given the pattern, I expect it to be a little bit drier than average, to be honest. And the good news continues with the NASA model. Now look at this. These are 500 millibar heights again. And again, they're very, very similar to what Hoog Van der Doel is doing. Placing this area of above average heights generally over, and we have to go over here, and to the east of the UK, which has the effect of stalling the low pressure in the Atlantic and sending the jet stream up around the country rather like that. So it places us within a ridge and on the warm side of the jet. Consequently, look at this, we come away with a warmer than average summer, as does most of Europe. And in terms of the precipitation, that is coming out near normal, really. No great deviation again for precipitation. But those temperatures do look quite good with both NASA and Hoog Van der Doel. Let's have a look at CFS V2 next. So this is the 700 millibar height anomaly from June through to August from CFS V2. Doesn't really tell us much at all. Look at all this white that's going on here across North America, across the Atlantic, across the UK and most of Europe. You can't really look at that, I don't think, and make a great deal of sense of it whatsoever. So let's break it down into months, because I couldn't make a forecast from that. There's just not enough to go on to make a forecast. So let's break this down into monthly periods. So this is how the 700 millibar heights are looking from CFS V2 for June, and it's placing a ridge virtually over top of the country with low pressure up to the north. So the jet stream is going north. That looks very good. You would expect a warm and dry month from that one. What about July? And July shows a change. Look at this. We get rid of that above average heights, or those above average heights, and replace it with below average heights to the north of Scotland. So it's turning more unsettled in July. Probably not a washout. There's a ridge across the eastern parts of Europe and also out in the Atlantic there, with low pressure there. So the jet stream is probably coming back through the country a bit like that. It's a more unsettled month in July, albeit probably not a washout or a disaster of a month. And then we go through to August, and August could be the worst of it. Trough of low pressure now centred just to the west of the UK. We've got this ridge building up to the north over Scandinavia. So potentially that's trying to turn the winds into the east, which can be very hot in August. But the low pressure, this trough, is probably going underneath the ridge, if you see what I mean. So the jet stream is probably coming through like that, and the warmth from this ridge is probably going into that sort of direction. It's a complicated pattern, though. It's not all that far away from being quite a hot month in August. If we was to get rid of that area below average heights there to west-southwest of us, this ridge would take over, and that would turn winds into the east, which, as I say, can be very hot in August. How the temperature's looking then, and overall just coming out average, maybe even hinting at being a bit cooler than average there. There's these little splodges of blue, not a strong signal, but probably enough to suggest overall it's average to slightly cooler than average temperatures this summer. Remember, that is with a really good looking signal for June, and then a much poorer signal for July and August. And in terms of the precipitation, again, no great signal really, probably hinting at being a bit drier than average, certainly for France and central parts of Europe. So again, no real signal there for temperatures or precipitation. Very hard season this August to predict, I've got to be honest. A lot of these models are looking very much in between a good pattern and a fairly poor pattern. I think the jet stream is probably a bit north, bit like that maybe, because it's a bit wetter than average across Norway and to the west of Scotland, but again, that is trying to reach for something to go at, really. Having a look at the UK Met Office next. Now, the UK Met has really changed over the past 3 months. When we did the first update in March, it was going for really quite a poor summer. It got much better last month, and it's got better again this month. So this even means sea level pressure anomaly for the summer, and well, it's placing above average heights across Scandinavia, and it is extending them down a bit like that, would you believe? So it does give us quite a decent pattern. This got low pressure out to the north and west and through southern and southeastern parts of Europe. But for us, this isn't too bad at all. I think the jet stream is going like that, so we are placed on the warm side of the jet stream, and we've got that ridge close to us, so it could be a fairly decent summer from the GLOW-C 5 model. Temperature anomalies generally coming out a bit warmer than average. Notice a very warm summer being predicted for much of Europe in those orange and red colours. For us, the temperature anomaly isn't a great deviation, but it is erring on the side of a little bit warmer than average. And the precipitation anomaly, not quite as good, still generally hinting at being a little bit wetter than average, and that's particularly so for the north and west of the country. But the UK Met has definitely shifted over these updates. It's definitely gone more and more towards a better summer outcome. And we're coming to the end now, don't worry, we're nearly there. We've got the Beijing Climate Centre next. This is the 500 millibar height anomaly from the BCC for the summer. Now, this has been chopping and changing. In the first update that we did in March, it was generally going for quite a poor summer, quite a cool, unsettled summer. Last month's update was much better. Looks like we've gone back towards the earlier idea for this month's update. So it's placing a trough of below average heights to the north and over the UK. Jet stream going south as well, rather like that. It's a cool, excuse me, it's a cool and unsettled summer pattern being signalled here by the BCC. So temperature anomalies are coming out like this, generally significantly cooler than average. And the precipitation anomaly is coming out generally a bit drier than average. So a fairly cool dry summer being predicted by the Beijing Climate Centre. That's quite an unusual combination. And then finally, we've come to the 10th and last model. It's the Jamstec IOD this month that we're going to finish with. This is the temperature anomaly. Look at this, it's going for a warmer than average summer, significantly so for many parts of Europe. And, well, we're in most salmon pink colours, so temperature anomalies above average this summer. A nice, warm, potentially quite hot summer. Precipitation, look at that, coming out generally drier than average. So a warm, dry summer being predicted by Jamstec IOD. Jet stream is to the north of us like that. We've got wetter than average conditions around Iceland and up here, so low pressure being locked in up there, but we've probably got some sort of ridge through central parts of Europe which draws up the air from the south, and that gives us a warm but dry summer signal. So it's a mixed bag from these models. There's no great signal across all of them, which means my job next week is going to be made even harder. This is proving to be a very hard summer to forecast. I think the reason is to be found in the Pacific Ocean. If you didn't see yesterday's El Nino update, do check it out. It's quite critical to what's going on here with this summer forecast. Are we going to shift to La Nina? If we do, is it just going to be a weak La Nina? Is it going to be a stronger La Nina? It has implications for the summer, so you can find yesterday's ENSO update on the ENSO updates page, which is gazovitz.com/enso.html. It's worth checking it out this month. So that's it. That's the 10. There's no great signal amongst all of them. I think there's very little sign of a really bad summer, so we can probably... Well, can we take that off the menu? You have to find out next week. But across these 10 models, there's not really much of a signal for a terrible summer. I mean, the JMA is front-loaded and it goes poor later on. The Beijing Climate Change is probably the worst of all of them, indicating quite a poor summer. But even there, the rainfall's not tremendous. It's generally a bit drier than average. It's a job to know what to make of this update. I have been hoping that as we go along with these model roundups, we will get a clearer signal that it normally works out like that, but it hasn't happened for this month. So I'm going to be flying in the dark a little bit next week. I've got to put these very what's the word I'm looking for? I've got to put these very complicated models together with those complicated analogues that we've been looking at and try to come up with some sort of a forecast. You'll be able to see the gazovitz.com Summer 2016 forecast next Sunday at Gazovitz, of course. So come back for the final instalment of this saga next Sunday. Right, I've gone on for over 20 minutes, so actually I thought I'd gone on longer than that, so it's not too bad at all. Later on I'll have a look at the bank holiday weekend, of course, do another bank holiday update. That's all for now. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.